Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
It was a cold Saturday in January 2026. President Donald Trump made a very important announcement. He used a social media post to share his plan. The United States would put new taxes, called tariffs, on goods from its close allies in Europe. These countries included Denmark, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom. First, the tariffs would be 10%. Later, they would go up to 25%. President Trump had one main goal. He wanted to force Denmark to sell Greenland to the United States. This news shocked many people around the world. It ended many years of peace and cooperation between America and its friends in Europe. The global order, which means how countries work together, was now at risk. This action started a big problem. President Trump strongly wanted to get Greenland, but the people of Greenland did not want to be sold. Leaders in Europe also strongly disagreed with Trump's plan. They called his actions unacceptable. The conflict was clear. Trump's wish for the Arctic land against the strong will of Greenlanders and Europeans. Many people quickly asked a serious question. Did President Trump even have the legal power to set these tariffs? Could he use economic taxes to try and buy land from another country? This important question would be answered later. But why would a U.S. president risk so much for this huge island of ice? To understand President Trump's strong desire for Greenland, we first need to look back in time.
We must explore the long and interesting history of Greenland itself. 2. The Big Island. Greenland is the biggest island in the world. It is a land mostly covered by ice, sitting between the Arctic and Atlantic Oceans. This unique place is home to only about 56,000 people. While autonomous, it is still part of the Kingdom of Denmark. This means Greenland has its own government and makes many of its own laws. The island's history began long ago. Vikings, led by Eric the Red, came to Greenland around the 10th century. Later, in 1814, Denmark took full control. Greenland then slowly gained more power to manage its own affairs. In 1979, it got limited self-rule. By 2009, it achieved greater self-government. Even so, Denmark still controls big things like foreign relations, national security, and the island's natural resources. Greenlanders have a strong wish to be fully independent. They want to decide everything for themselves. However, Greenland depends heavily on money from Denmark. Each year, Denmark gives Greenland about 5.4 billion kroner, which is around 724 million euros. This money makes up more than 20% of Greenland's economy and half of its government budget. Most Greenlanders support independence, but not if it means their economy will suffer or their good welfare system will be lost. Greenland's vast territory also holds valuable secrets. Under its ice and land lie huge amounts of oil, gas, and important rare earth minerals.
These resources are becoming very valuable globally. Because of these treasures and its strategic location, Greenland was about to become a key player in a global game. Its people desired independence, but their economy was tied to Denmark. Greenland would soon find itself at the center of a big power struggle. President Donald Trump had a strong interest in this remote island. Why was he so obsessed? The answer lay in its strategic position and its hidden, rich resources. 3. A special place. President Donald Trump had very strong reasons for wanting Greenland. He saw it as a truly special place, critical for the United States' future. This deep belief was why he was willing to take such big risks to acquire it. One major reason was Greenland's vital military and geographic importance. For decades, it has been crucial for the defense of North America, especially since World War II. The United States already operated a key military facility there, the Pituffik Space Base, located in northwestern Greenland. This base played a critical role in missile warning, missile defense, and keeping an eye on space for both the United States and NATO. Furthermore, Greenland helped guard a strategic ocean area known as the GIUK, Greenland, Iceland, United Kingdom, GAP. In this area, NATO forces watch for Russian naval movements in the North Atlantic. President Trump believed that having full control of Greenland was essential for modern defense systems and missile projects, making it a cornerstone of national security. Another key reason was the growing competition with other powerful nations like China and Russia. Greenland holds vast, untapped natural resources beneath its ice and land. These include oil, gas, and extremely valuable rare earth minerals. These rare earth minerals are not common, but they are vital for making many modern technologies, from electric vehicles and wind turbines to advanced military equipment. At the time, China controlled a large part of the world's supply of these critical elements. President Trump aimed to reduce the United States' dependence on other countries for these resources. He argued that Denmark could not adequately protect Greenland from the ambitions of China and Russia in this geopolitical struggle. Finally, the effects of climate change were making the Arctic more accessible. As the ice melted, new shipping routes were opening up in the northern parts of the world. These routes offered faster ways for trade ships to travel, but they also held new security implications. This Arctic paradox meant that a warming planet was opening up areas for more exploration, and in turn, more competition among major global powers for resources and influence.
These three crucial factors truly highlighted Greenland's immense strategic value and why it had caught the eye of global superpowers, directly addressing its importance as discussed in the previous chapter. President Trump was deeply convinced that acquiring Greenland was a necessary step for national security. He felt he had a strong and winning argument. However, to make this deal happen, he was preparing to use a powerful tool: economic pressure. He was about to launch an economic war that would send shockwaves across Europe. 4. The money problem. President Donald Trump made a big announcement on Saturday, January 17, 2026. He stated that the United States would impose a 10% tariff on goods from 8 key European allies. These countries included Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Finland. The tariffs would begin on February 1st. After that, they would increase to 25% on June 1st. Trump explained that these tariffs would remain until an agreement was reached for the United States to purchase Greenland. This sudden use of economic pressure was meant to force Europe to accept his demand. This decision quickly led to a serious legal battle back in the United States. President Trump used a law called the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA, to put these tariffs in place.
This law normally gives the president power to place sanctions during real national emergencies, but using it for tariffs, especially to acquire territory, was seen as a new and different use of the law. Many people argued that the president was using his power too much. They said the U.S. Constitution did not give him the right to do this for territorial gain without Congress's clear agreement. At least 7 lawsuits were quickly filed in American federal courts. These cases challenged President Trump's authority to impose such tariffs under IEEPA. The main question was if a president could use emergency economic powers, which are usually for true national emergencies, to impose tariffs to get more land. The Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the country, was set to rule on the matter in the coming weeks. During earlier discussions, both conservative and liberal justices had expressed doubts about the tariffs' legality. With the tariffs' future hanging in the balance, President Trump's ultimatum landed like a declaration of war in European capitals. Their response would be swift, unified, and defiant. 5. Europe says no. President Donald Trump's plan to place tariffs on key European allies caused a swift and strong reaction. Leaders across Europe spoke out immediately against the move. They were united in their message. Europe would not be forced into any deal about Greenland. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer was clear.
He said that putting extra taxes on friendly nations for their shared security was completely wrong. French President Emmanuel Macron was equally firm. He stated that no intimidation or threat will influence Europe and called Trump's actions unacceptable. Macron promised that European countries would respond together and in a planned way if the tariffs truly began. 8 European nations, including Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Finland, made a joint statement. They warned that the tariff threats would hurt their friendship with the U.S. and risked a dangerous spiral of bad relations. They vowed to stay united and protect their sovereignty, which is their right to govern themselves. Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson stated directly, "Sweden will not allow itself to be blackmailed." Even Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who had usually gotten along well with President Trump, called his move an error. Because of this serious threat, ambassadors from all 27 European Union countries held an urgent meeting in Brussels. They discussed what steps to take next. Kaja Kallas, the European Union's foreign policy chief, warned that these tariffs would harm both Europe and the U.S., making both sides poorer. She believed that countries like China and Russia would benefit from such divisions among allies. The tariff threat also put a new, important U.S.-EU trade deal in danger.
The European Parliament was set to debate this agreement soon, but now its leader, Manfred Weber, quickly said that approving the deal was not possible at this stage because of Trump's threats. Denmark's government, too, was surprised by Trump's announcement. They made it very clear that they would not let themselves be blackmailed. They were in close contact with the European Commission and other partners to prepare their strong answer. An entire continent quickly banded together against the American president, showing a strong, unified front against his demands. While leaders in Brussels and London strategized their countermove, the people with the most at stake were already making their voices heard. On the frozen streets of Greenland, thousands began to gather, ready to send their own powerful message to the world. 6. Greenland's answer. The crisis was not just about leaders in big cities far away. It was also about the people of Greenland. They showed the world their feelings. Thousands of them marched in protests, both in their home country and in Copenhagen, Denmark. In Copenhagen, many people marched from City Hall to the U.S. Embassy. They waved Greenlandic flags and chanted, "Greenland is not for sale." Some wore red hats that said, "Make America go away." In Nuuk, Greenland's capital, thousands also gathered. They walked carefully over the snow and ice. They held signs and waved their national flag. They shouted to protect their self-governance.
This was the biggest protest Greenland had ever seen. Almost 1/4 of Nuuk's people joined, including Greenland's Prime Minister, Jens Frederik Nielsen. People like Malik Dollerup Schabel, a 21-year-old, felt very worried. When he heard about President Trump's new tariffs, he thought things could not get worse. But they did. Nadja Matilda Rosing, whose family is from Greenland, felt the protest was very personal. She said they showed their unity. They did not want to be part of the United States. She felt that the idea of buying Greenland was insulting to local communities. She compared it to America's history of taking land from native peoples. Marie Pedersen, a 47-year-old Greenlander, brought her children to the rally. She wanted to teach them to speak up. She wanted to keep their country, their culture, and their family safe. In Nuuk, Greenlanders of all ages listened to traditional songs as they walked to the consulate. Charlotte Holm, who lives in Copenhagen but has family in Greenland, was scared. She worried about what would happen to their society. A recent survey showed that 85% of Greenlanders did not want to join the U.S. Only 6% thought it was a good idea. All political groups in Greenland's government wanted their country to be independent one day, but they all said they would rather stay with Denmark than become part of the U.S. This showed how strongly everyone felt.
Tilly Martinussen, a past member of Parliament, hoped the American government would stop this crazy idea. She said the U.S. started by acting like friends, but then they used threats. The people of Greenland had spoken clearly. Their message was heard around the world. But this problem was no longer just about two countries talking. It was growing bigger. It was now a danger to the most powerful military group in the world. 7. Friends in trouble. The problem over Greenland now became a very serious crisis for NATO. This important military group was made 75 years ago. Its main rule, called Article 5, says that if one member country is attacked, all other members will help. But now, the United States, a main member, was threatening another member, Denmark, with strong tariffs. This action broke the basic idea of NATO's collective defense. Denmark's prime minister even warned that if the United States used military force against a NATO country, their membership would end. This situation was like a bad dream for NATO leaders. The alliance was not made for a time when its own members were fighting each other. Inside the United States, there was also growing anger. Many members of Congress, from both the Republican and Democratic parties, spoke out. They did not agree with the president's actions. Senator Tom Tillis, a Republican, said the tariffs were bad for America and its friends.
He thought it only helped countries like Russia and China, who wanted to see NATO weak. Another Republican, Senator Lisa Murkowski, called the tariffs a big mistake. She said they would push away important European allies. Democratic Senator Chris Coons also led a group of lawmakers to Denmark. They told Denmark that there was no real threat to Greenland that could make the president's actions right. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, a Democrat, said he would try to stop these tariffs with new laws. But even in this difficult time, a small chance for peace appeared. Officials from the United States, Denmark, and Greenland met. They did not solve all their problems.
However, they agreed to start a high-level working group. This group would try to find a way out of the crisis. Its goal was to talk and find a diplomatic path. The world now watched carefully. Everyone wondered what this working group would do. Could they find a way to stop the problems and save NATO? Or would this crisis lead to a complete breakdown between old friends and allies? 8. What happens next? The world watched closely, waiting for what would happen next. After weeks of high tension, a special working group began important talks. This group included officials from the United States, Denmark, and Greenland. Their main goal was to find a peaceful way forward for Greenland's future and security, without selling the island.
During these talks, European nations showed strong support, offering de-escalation ideas. They suggested ways to increase security in the Arctic region, working with the U.S. They also spoke about giving American companies easier access to some of Greenland's natural resources without changing who owns the land. A key part of discussions was Greenland's hope for full independence one day. If Greenland became independent, NATO could help protect it, like Iceland, a NATO member without its own army. This plan aimed to give Greenland freedom and safety among allies. This major crisis became a very important moment for global relations. It tested international laws about respecting national borders and a country's right to choose its future. Many people worried if a strong nation could force a friendly country to sell its land. Such actions could set a dangerous example. Other powerful countries might then try to take territory. This would change how all nations work together. The main issues of the crisis remained clear. The people of Greenland had spoken loudly, saying, "Greenland is not for sale." Leaders across Europe stood united, stating that President Trump's tariff threats were unacceptable. Meanwhile, in the U.S., the Supreme Court still had a big decision to make. Did President Trump have the legal authority to use these strong economic tariffs for territorial gain? Its outcome would greatly affect the future.
This difficult situation was a defining test for the long friendship between America and its European allies. It highlighted big challenges for close friends. Global cooperation and stability looked very fragile. Everyone wondered if diplomacy could respect Greenland's wishes and keep vital international friendships strong. What do you believe is the most important lesson countries should learn from this crisis about Greenland?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world.